Hello everyone. So now as discussed yesterday, we'll be starting systematically with the preparation of net JRF economics targeting December 2022. Now see, even though we are saying that this is for net JRF economics, but the students preparing for the master, students who are in their undergraduate level right now, and and they are preparing for their master's entrance, they can also refer to these topics that we will be referring. Apart from that, students in the undergraduate level as well as the postgraduate, that is master's level, can take help from these videos, these lectures, notes for their exams also. Now, how will we proceed in this? I'll explain the topic. Apart from that, I will also, in addition, I will also upload the notes on the Drive link. So that I have received various comments that we also need notes. If we'll get your notes, it will be helpful for us. So I will provide you notes also, my handwritten notes on the Drive link in the description of every video. This is what I'm planning. So this is one stage. Second, of course, I'll explain in the video. In addition to that, I'm also planning that suppose कोई भी एक हमारा topic है जो 5 pages का है, so that is like in-depth notes. But when we are revising from any exam perspective, we need some quick handy notes. So I'll try to concise those 5 pages into 1 page so that it becomes easier for you to revise during your exam time. So this is how the plan looks like. Now let's discuss the syllabus of Net Economics December 2022. Now see, as we all know that there are various branches in economics. So when anybody is preparing for net JRF, it is eligibility says that we should be in the second year of our master's level, which means that we should have the basic understanding of these branches in economics for at the master's level. Therefore, हमें थोड़ा बहुत master's level का इन सारे branches का पता होना चाहिए. This is how the syllabus is shaped up for net JRF. Now, microeconomics, we will discuss microeconomics syllabus, macroeconomics, national income accounting, development and planning, statistical methods, mathematical economics, public finance, international economics, Indian economy, and various other miscellaneous topics which may also include the current trend in Indian economy. Net is for the teaching purpose for professors in universities. JRF is to pursue PhD. Now, why the basic understanding of all these branches? PhD तो हम एक topic में करते हैं ना. So what is the requirement to have an understanding of all these branches of economics? Because when we are doing PhD, first of all we need to decide a topic. And ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि उस topic में हम सिर्फ वो ही चीज करेंगे. We will have a mix of, we should have an understanding of statistical models, of basic statistical methods at least. That is why we are tested on these branches of economics. Now, let's start with the microeconomics syllabus. Now, when we are saying microeconomics syllabus, this is I will say that this is forms a very big part of in terms of syllabi, a big part of your entire syllabus. So this is the lengthiest part, microeconomics, but it is very important also. So we will discuss consumer demand theory, theory of production, theory of cost, concept of revenue, markets, theory of games, factor pricing analysis, theory of rent, and welfare economics. So this is brief of the microeconomics syllabus, but within these topics, there are subtopics. For example, when we are saying that we will discuss markets, we will also discuss perfect competition. We will also discuss monopoly, oligopoly, monopsony, monopolistic, everything. Now, see, अभी अब जब आप prepare करना start करोगे, what happens is that हमारे या तो undergraduate level के जो basic concepts होते हैं वो wipe out हो चुके होते हैं. पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट लेवल पे कुछ स्टूडेंट्स हेजिटेट करते हैं, टीचर्स से नहीं पूछते हैं. पूछना चाहिए. आई स्टिल एनकरेज टू प्लीज क्लियर ऑल योर डाउट्स. If you are taking any coaching or if you are in college, please take help of your teachers. Don't hesitate. Long term में beneficial नहीं होगा. In these for this preparation, I'll try कि basic level से हम सारी चीजें कवर करें. Apart from that, आप जैसे normal comments में पूछते हो, I try to reply. आप वहाँ पे भी अपने questions पूछ सकते हो. So from the basic level we will cover. So if you have any type of problem, आप प्लीज पूछ लो. मैं कोशिश करूंगी कि इंग्लिश और हिंदी दोनों मीडियम का यूज करूं First I'll explain in one language, then I'll explain in other, so that it is beneficial to both. So, and now when I'm explaining this during your revision, अभी तो हम syllabus कर रहे हैं, but we'll soon, after the syllabus, we'll soon start with the theories and the preparation part. So in that, I'll try to focus more कि हम लोगों की वीडियो इतनी लेंदी ना हो, छोटे में हमारा कंसाइज में टॉपिक की एक्सप्लेनेशन हो जाए. बट उसके साथ साथ मैं एक सेपरेट वीडियो डालूंगी जिसमें प्रॉपर एक्सप्लेनेशन होएगा टॉपिक का. पीपल हु वांट टू गो मोर इन डेप्थ, so they can have ready topic there also. Now, how will these small videos help you? Sometimes just by having notes, थोड़ा सा हमें नहीं समझ आता क्योंकि सिलेबस बहुत वाइड है, डिफिकल्ट नहीं है बट वाइड है. सो वीडियोस को आप क्विक यूट्यूब में आपका होता है 2x स्पीड, वो करके आप इजीली रिवाइज कर सकते हो कोई भी कंसेप्ट इफ यू वांट टू. नाउ लेट्स डिस्कस द माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स सिलेबस. So today our focus will be on microeconomics syllabus. So first is consumer demand theory. We will discuss all these 9 topics and their subtopics so that you have a clarity of what we are going into and which all topics will be covered. So first is consumer demand theory. See, in consumer demand theory, we have 3 types of theories that is generally associated. First is marginal utility theory. Second is indifference curve analysis, and third is revealed preference theory. So we will do all these theories. Let's discuss what we will do in marginal utility analysis. This is also termed as cardinal approach. Indifference curve analysis को ordinal बोलते हैं, marginal utility analysis को cardinal बोलते हैं. Ordinal क्योंकि हम सिर्फ ऑर्डर करते हैं indifference curve को, cardinal क्योंकि हम मेजर करने की कोशिश करते हैं. तो इसके हमारे बेसिक assumptions क्या हैं? What do we understand by total utility and marginal utility? What is the law of diminishing marginal utility? Law of equimarginal utility? Shortcomings of this analysis. कभी भी हम कोई theory discuss करते हैं in economics. See, in economics there are certain assumptions used. जैसे साइंस में होता है हम एक कंट्रोल्ड एटमॉस्फेयर में एक्सपेरिमेंट कंडक्ट कर सकते हैं, बट इन इकोनॉमिक्स वी कैन नॉट डू दैट. therefore what we do is हम कुछ और ये तो माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स है, तो हम एक सेक्शन को स्टडी करने के लिए कुछ assumptions लेते हैं, फिर थ्योरी एक्सप्लेन करते हैं और फिर हम देखते हैं कि एज इन बिकॉज एज इकोनॉमिक्स इज अ डायनामिक सब्जेक्ट, सो देयर आर वेरियस थ्योरीज कमिंग अप. डायनामिक थ्योरीज हम लोगों की आती रहती है, चेंजेस होते रहते हैं. तो एज पर द रिक्वायरमेंट जब न्यू थ्योरीज आती है तो वो पुरानी थ्योरीज के कुछ क्रिटिसिज्म प्रेजेंट करते हैं कि क्यों अब ये पुरानी थ्योरी एप्लीकेबल नहीं है, और फिर हम लोगों की न्यू थ्योरी आती है. तो इसलिए हमारा जो लास्ट में रहता है दैट इज जनरली अबाउट शॉर्टकमिंग्स, दैट इज जनरली अबाउट लिमिटेशंस, दैट इज जनरली अबाउट criticism. So we'll discuss shortcomings of marginal utility analysis and then marginal utility analysis as modified by the modern economy. This is our first theory, cardinal approach. Next, we will move on to elasticity. So we'll discuss what are the theorems of elasticity, what is arc elasticity of demand. There are some important cases of changes in the price elasticity of demand. क्या impact होता है, क्यों changes होते हैं? What is elasticity of substitution? What is the relationship between these 3 elasticities, that is price elasticity, income elasticity and elasticity of substitution? And what do we mean by elasticity of supply? Elasticity of demand we have, अगर भूल भी गए तो थोड़ा बहुत रिकॉल कर सकते हो, but we will also do elasticity of supply. In the end, after discussing this, we will be discussing one additional topic, that is diamond water paradox. So these are certain important additional topics, but ये as such किसी theory का part नहीं होते. Now, third part is, and the second theory in consumer demand analysis is indifference curve theory, which is termed as ordinal analysis. So in this case, we make use of marginal rate of substitution. We understand that what is the relationship between marginal rate of substitution and marginal utility. What are the properties of these indifference curves? Then we'll discuss consumers equilibrium. Now in consumers equilibrium, we will discuss income effect, substitution effect and price effect. See, why are we discussing these 3 things? Because our price effect is equal to income effect plus substitution effect. क्योंकि कभी भी हमारा जब चेंज होता है प्राइस में, तो वो हमारा हम डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर सकते हैं इनकम इफेक्ट के अंदर और सब्स्टिट्यूशन इफेक्ट के अंदर. अगर एक किसी भी कंज्यूमर की इनकम चेंज हो रही है, उसको कैसे वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर रहा है, इन डिफरेंस कर्व एनालिसिस के थ्रू हम income effect, substitution effect और price effect को discuss करेंगे. We will also discuss angel curve and Slutsky substitution effect. We will also discuss Hicksian substitution effect in this case. And then we will discuss what are the advantages of breaking up this price effect into income effect and substitution effect. Now, after discussing this, we'll discuss Kiffen-Good, market demand curve, and why do various economists believe that there is a superiority of indifference curve technique over the utility analysis. That is, why is there a superiority of ordinal analysis over cardinal analysis? तो क्योंकि वो हमारे प्रैक्टिकलिटी से ज्यादा एसोसिएट करता होगा, क्योंकि हम उसको यूसेज में ज्यादा ला पाते होंगे, दैट इज व्हाई इट इज more superior. We consider it more superior, but for that we need to first understand both the theories separately properly, and then we'll be in a position to comment on this. Next, we will discuss after understanding the basic theory, we will discuss the applications of indifference curve analysis. What do we mean by direct versus indirect tax, and how can we understand the effect of this direct tax and indirect tax on the consumers? Then we will discuss rationing. जैसे food rationing होती है ना, वो indifference curve के थ्रू हम समझेंगे क्या impact होता है consumers पे. Then we'll discuss cost of living index with the help of indifference curve. Effect of subsidies given to the consumers. जैसे न्यूज आती है ना, current news LPG subsidies. So how do we understand कि अगर हम ये subsidies दे रहे हैं तो consumers को कितना benefit हो रहा है? That we will discuss. वो कितना better off हो रहा है. तो वो better off वेल ऑफ डिस्कस करने के लिए, उसका सेटिस्फेक्शन कितना इंक्रीज हो रहा है, वो चीज डिस्कस करने के लिए वी विल मेक यूज ऑफ इंडिफरेंस कर्व एनालिसिस. देन वी विल डिस्कस द इफेक्ट ऑफ इंक्रीज इन वेजेस ऑन सप्लाई ऑफ लेबर. इफ अ प्रोड्यूसर इज गिविंग मोर वेजेस, व्हाट इज द इम्पैक्ट ऑन सप्लाई ऑफ लेबर? बिकॉज अगर हमें ज्यादा वेज मिल रहे हैं, इट एक्चुअली मीन्स कि हम लोगों के लिए बेनिफिशियल है. बट अगेन यहाँ पे जो वेज है, वो वेज क्या है? दैट वेज इज एक्चुअली द प्राइस ऑफ लेबर. अगर ये प्राइस ऑफ लेबर इंक्रीज कर रहा है तो इसको भी हम दो पार्ट में डिवाइड कर सकते हैं, इनकम इफेक्ट एंड सब्स्टिट्यूशन इफेक्ट. तो इसलिए ये इनकम इफेक्ट और सब्स्टिट्यूशन इफेक्ट जो हमने अभी पीछे स्टडी किया होगा, वो हमें यहाँ पे हेल्पफुल होगा. इंडिफरेंस कर्व के थ्रू वी विल अंडरस्टैंड दिस. इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी कि हमेशा जब हमारे वेजेस इंक्रीज हो तो लेबर अपनी सप्लाई इंक्रीज करेगा ही करेगा. इट इज नॉट ऑलवेज नेसेसरी एंड विल डिस्कस व्हाई. ऐसे ही एमसीक्यूज भी आते हैं. वी विल डिस्कस एमसीक्यूज ऑल्सो. जब भी हम एक टॉपिक डिस्कस करेंगे ना, उसके बाद हम उसके 10-15 एमसीक्यूज भी डिस्कस करेंगे, so that we understand, and previous year questions also we will surely discuss. Third theory in consumer demand theory is the revealed preference theory. Now again we will first discuss the assumptions of revealed preference theory. We will discuss the derivation of demand curve with the help of this theory, and then we will discuss consumer behavior under the conditions of uncertainty. Now, this was just one part. We were discussing consumer theory till now. The next part in the syllabus will be theory of production. Here we will discuss about production function, equal product curves और isocones. जैसे हमारे indifference curves होते हैं consumers के लिए, उसी तरह isocones होते हैं हमारे producers के लिए. Then we will discuss marginal rate of technical substitution. जैसे marginal rate of substitution होता है consumers के लिए, उसी तरीके से MRTS for producers. Then we'll discuss sector intensity, capital intensive, labor intensive, कौन सा factor हमारा ज़्यादा use हो रहा है. Then we'll discuss marginal products of the factors, ridge lines, production possibility curve, concave PPC, convex PPC, कब हमारा concave PPC होता है, what are the properties, कब हमारा convex PPC होता है, कौन सा better रहता है किस market के हिसाब से, we'll discuss that. Then we will discuss product lines. We'll discuss the graphical representation of the return to scale for a homogeneous production function. For that, we will first understand what is a homogeneous production function, and then we will discuss these three parts, that is constant returns to scale, decreasing returns to scale, and increasing returns to scale. After discussing this, we will do short-run analysis using the law of variable proportions. Then we will discuss Cobb-Douglas production function. Cobb-Douglas production function, why are we particularly focusing on Cobb-Douglas? Because Cobb-Douglas is believed to be closer to reality as compared to other production functions. That is why we will focus majorly on this production function. We will discuss others also. Then we'll discuss technological progress and the production function, because whenever our technology is getting upgraded, the production function, there will be certain changes in the production function. Capital deepening technical progress, मतलब अगर हमारा ऐसा technological progress हो रहा है जिसमें हम capital का ज़्यादा use कर रहे हैं, तो फिर हमारा उसका क्या impact होएगा? अगर labor deepening है तो क्या है? Neutral, मतलब दोनों का हम लोगों का same amount से increase कर रहा है, तो फिर हमारा क्या impact होएगा? तो यहाँ से भी हमारे questions आते हैं. Then we'll discuss the output elasticities. So while discussing the consumer demand theory, we discussed elasticity of demand, we discussed elasticity of supply. But now here, since we are talking about production, we are talking about output. So we will discuss output elasticity. Then we will also discuss the equilibrium of the firm. Like we discussed consumer's equilibrium, similarly we will discuss the equilibrium of the firm, that is choice of optimal combination of factors of production. And here we will first discuss how to maximize this profit subject to a cost constraint. Then because हमारे किसी भी producer का aim क्या होता है in order to maximize the profit. Then we will discuss for a given level of output how to maximize the output subject to a cost constraint and how to minimize the cost for a given level of output. So we will discuss under all these four conditions how to achieve the equilibrium for a firm. Then we will formally derive the equilibrium, formal derivation of the equilibrium conditions, and lastly we will discuss here the expansion part. Now we have done theory of production, theory of consumer demand theory. Third is theory of cost. Now in this theory of cost, there are certain short-run costs for traditional theory. So here we'll be discussing total fixed cost, total variable cost. What do we mean by them theoretically? What is their graphical representation? We'll do both. And what is the relationship between all these costs? So we'll discuss average fixed cost, average variable cost, marginal cost, short-run average total cost, short-run average variable cost, relationship between average total cost and average variable cost, and relationship between the marginal cost and average total cost. Sometimes we feel that directly let's just study the relationship. But if you do not know what exactly do we mean by these costs, if you do not know what are the examples, we will not be able to understand the relationships. We will surely get problems. So it's better कि रटना नहीं है. We will understand the things and then we'll proceed. Next is, so these were short-run costs. Next we will discuss the long-run cost, that is the envelope curve. Why do we call long-run cost as envelope curve? क्योंकि बहुत सारी short-run cost को mix करके, short-run cost को add करके हमारा long-run cost बनता है. That is why they are termed as envelope curve. So we'll discuss those curves. Now, then we'll discuss optimum plant, optimum output, optimum firm. जैसे हमने consumer demand theory में consumer equilibrium किया, producer demand theory में equilibrium of firm किया, उसी तरीके से जब हम यहाँ पे cost discuss करेंगे तो हमारा optimum plant, optimum output, मतलब हमें maximize करना है output को, optimum firm. तो यहाँ पे हमारी ऐसी क्या cost conditions होनी चाहिए कि optimum rate पे function करें. Then we'll discuss long-run marginal cost curve. Marginal cost curve is very important in the discussion for the theory of cost. Definitely there comes a question. Then we'll discuss the empirical evidence and L-shaped long-run average cost curve. यहाँ से भी question आ जाता है under what conditions there will be L-shaped average cost curve, or they will give various conditions and will say identify that which type of cost curve we'll get if these conditions are given. So we should know the conditions also. Then we'll discuss the external economies and diseconomies and cost curve. What do we mean by external economies and diseconomies? What do we mean by internal economies and diseconomies? इसका implementation भी बहुत ज़्यादा है. Then we'll discuss the elasticity of cost. So what are we doing? In general, we are discussing same things. First, we are understanding basic concepts. फिर उसका equilibrium discuss कर रहे हैं. फिर उसकी elasticity, जैसे हमने elasticity of demand किया, फिर output elasticity किया, and this is elasticity of cost. Next is the concept of revenue. So here we will discuss total revenue, average revenue, marginal revenue. What are the relationship between average revenue and marginal revenue? What is the relationship between average revenue, marginal revenue, and elasticity of demand? See, the elasticity of demand that we'll do in the consumer demand theory, that is with the aspect of price, equilibrium price. यहाँ पे हम जो derive करेंगे, revenue को use करके derive करेंगे. So you can get a question wherein the relationship between AR and MR is given. You get 4 choices, and you need to choose elasticity of demand formula from there. Until unless you are not sure about the relationship between AR and MR, you will not be able to understand the elasticity of demand using AR and MR. So that is why we'll cover this also. Then we'll discuss King's demand curve and their corresponding marginal revenue curves. King's demand curve we will also do when we'll discuss oligopoly. But here also we will refer to it. And what is the importance of discussing the revenue curve? Now we'll move on to market. This is a lengthy topic, but ये generally according to my experience स्टूडेंट्स को थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट लगता है क्योंकि इसमें कर्व्स वगैरह ज़्यादा होते हैं और हमें ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग होती है कि कर्व्स हैं, कर्व्स तो इतना पूछते नहीं है एमसीक्यूज में, तो इसलिए हमें कर्व्स नहीं करने चाहिए. बट जब तक आप कर्व्स नहीं करोगे, जब तक आप इक्विलिब्रियम कर्व या हमारा शट डाउन पॉइंट कहाँ पे है, कर्व्स की हेल्प से बहुत ईजी हो जाता है, तो वो रखना नहीं पड़ता. इसीलिए वी विल डू द कर्व्स ऑल्सो, इट विल हेल्प यू. ओके, सो नाउ एंड इसके अंदर हमारी बेसिक कंडीशंस अगर क्लियर हो जाती है एक बार, तो लेंथी टॉपिक हो पर आपका फटाफट रिवीजन हो जाएगा. सो इनिशियली इट विल टेक सम टाइम, बट देन इट विल बी वेरी इजी टू रिकॉल and give answers. So for perfect competition, we'll discuss equilibrium of the firm in the short run using the curve TR and TC. Now we have a good understanding of TR and TC जो हमने theory of cost और theory of revenue में develop की हुई है, तो हम यहाँ पे उसको use कर सकते हैं. Then we will discuss the equilibrium of the firm by using the MR and MC. अब देखो ऊपर हमने किया TR और TC के थ्रू, यहाँ हम करेंगे MR और MC के थ्रू. So these are different conditions. In exam also you can get two conditions. Suppose हम बोल देंगे कि TR should be equal to TC, MR should be greater than MC. क्या relationship होना चाहिए? ऐसे 4 options आ जाएंगे आपके पास. तो इसीलिए you should know equilibrium of the firm using both these concepts. Then we will also discuss the mathematical derivation of the equilibrium of the firm. Then long run equilibrium of the firm in case of identical cost. Short run equilibrium of the firm in case of differential cost conditions. Long run equilibrium of the firm, supply curve of the firm as well as the industry, short run equilibrium of the industry, effect of imposition of a tax from the aspect of producers also we will discuss. So now because the tax are of majorly 3 types, therefore we will discuss the imposition also in all these 3 types. First is imposition of lump sum tax, imposition of profit tax, imposition of specific sales tax, and then we will discuss Marshall's time analysis and price. This was perfect competition. Next type of market is monopoly. See, it is getting a bit lengthy because microeconomics का lengthy syllabus है. ठीक है, macro and all other things, they are comparatively shorter as compared to microeconomics. Okay, so for monopoly, we'll discuss average and marginal revenue for a monopolist, demand and revenue from the aspect of monopolist, equilibrium of the monopolist both in short as well as the long run. Then we say that there is no unique supply curve for a monopolist. That also we'll discuss what are the reasons for that. You can get a question, list the reasons. आपको 3-4 options दिए होंगे. You need to select that what are the reasons that there is no unique supply curve of monopoly. Then we'll discuss measurement of degree of monopoly power. Whenever we say that okay, any company, say Jio, is turning into a monopoly in telecom industry, or it may turn into a monopoly in the long term, how do we measure कि उसके पास कितनी power है, कितना monopoly power है उसके पास monopoly की? So that we can discuss using all these 4 measures that is given to us. Lerner's measure, Griffin's measure, Bain's measure, and Rochel's measure. Their simple formula, we'll do them. Then we'll have monopoly equilibrium and perfect competitive equilibrium. We'll compare them. जैसे if you guys remember, or people who are in their masters, generally हम क्या बोलते हैं? The equilibrium output in perfect competitive equilibrium is greater as compared to the equilibrium output in monopoly. The price in perfect competition is greater. The price of perfect competition is smaller in perfect competitive market as in the monopoly equilibrium. So ये चीजें हमारी कंपैरिजन के थ्रू आती हैं। बट जब हम लोगों को हमने प्रॉफिट कंपटीशन कर लिया, मोनोपोली कर लिया, उसके बाद फिर हम ये कंपैरिजन इजी कर सकते हैं कि हमारा जो इक्विलिब्रियम आउटपुट है वो प्रॉफिट कॉम्पिटिटिव मार्केट में ज्यादा होता है एज कम्पेयर टू इक्विलिब्रियम आउटपुट इन मोनोपोली, और जो इक्विलिब्रियम प्राइस है वो प्रॉफिट कॉम्पिटिटिव मार्केट में कम होता है एज कम्पेयर टू इक्विलिब्रियम प्राइस इन मोनोपोली। देन वी विल ऑल्सो डिस्कस रेगुलेशन ऑफ मोनोपोली, कि हम कैसे रेगुलेट कर सकते हैं, कैसे कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं उसको, क्योंकि सिर्फ अगर एक ही फॉर्म इंडस्ट्री में या इकोनॉमी में रूल करेगी तो उसका तो फिर बिल्कुल डोमिनेंस हो जाएगा, जो कि कंज्यूमर्स के लिए भी अच्छा नहीं होता है, इकोनॉमी के लिए भी अच्छा नहीं होता है। तो हाउ डू वी रेगुलेट द मोनोपोली? सो वी विल डिस्कस प्राइस रेगुलेशन, वी विल डिस्कस टैक्स रेगुलेशन, या तो हम उनके जो होता है प्रॉफिट टैक्स, वी कैन टेक दोज कॉर्पोरेट प्रॉफिट टैक्स फ्रॉम देम, और वी हैव सर्टेन प्राइस रेगुलेशन आल्सो, दैट इज वी कैन हैव प्राइस सीलिंग, की इससे ज्यादा प्राइस आप नहीं चार्ज कर सकते हो। So these are various methods, and we can also put a fixed tax on them. Next is price discrimination. So in monopoly, price discrimination is possible, but हम कितनी डिग्री का कर रहे हैं? What do we mean by first degree price discrimination, second degree, third degree? We'll discuss them. What are the conditions of price discrimination? ये question आता है. What are the conditions for price discrimination? Because हर market में price discrimination possible नहीं होता है. Which conditions should be satisfied in order so that the producer can use this price discrimination in order to maximize its profit? What is the equilibrium under price discrimination? Mathematical derivation of the equilibrium of the price discriminating monopolist. What is the equilibrium under price discrimination in the dumping case? Dumping क्या होता है? जब कोई अपनी कंट्री से इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड में, जब कोई अपनी कंट्री से कम प्राइस में सेल करता है इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में, या अपनी कॉस्ट से कम सेल करता है, उसको बोलते हैं कि वो डंप कर रहा है। तो वो डंपिंग केस क्या होता है प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन में? जब कॉस्ट से भी कम प्राइस में मोनोपोलिस्ट किसी एक मार्केट में सेल कर रहा होता है, वो हाउ द इक्विलिब्रियम इज डिटरमाइंड इन दैट केस। Then we'll discuss monopoly. We'll discuss bilateral monopoly. Bilateral monopoly जब डिमांड साइड पे भी एक ही कंज्यूमर है और सप्लाई साइड पे भी हमारा एक ही प्रोड्यूसर है, that is bilateral monopoly. Then we will discuss constant elasticity of substitution production function. After discussing these two types of markets, we will discuss we will move towards monopolistic competition. Again, we will discuss first assumptions, then cost curves and selling curves, product differentiation and demand curve, equilibrium under monopolistic competition, short run equilibrium, long run equilibrium, जब हमारी एंट्री ओपन होती है, जब हमारी एंट्री क्लोज होती है, हमारा मोनोपोली और परफेक्ट कंपटीशन। इन प्रैक्टिस इनके एग्जांपल्स बहुत लिमिटेड हैं, या हम बोले ना के बराबर है, पर अगर हमारी कोई मार्केट बहुत क्लोज है रियलिटी के, वो मोनोपोलिस्टिक कंपटीशन होता है, इसीलिए ये इम्पोर्टेंट है स्टडी करना। Then we will also discuss theory of excess capacity. Next market we will discuss oligopoly market. So here we will discuss various types of models. We'll discuss Cournot model, Bertrand model, Stackelberg model. Stackelberg model में हमारी एक duopoly हम बात करें ना, तो एक फॉर्म हमारी लीडर होती है, दूसरी फॉर्म फॉलोअर होती है। जो लीडर फॉर्म अपने प्राइस के लिए डिसीजन लेती है, क्वांटिटी के लिए डिसीजन लेती है, वही फॉलोअर फॉर्म लेती है। So we will discuss these three models and we will discuss how to achieve equilibrium in them. Then we'll discuss non-collusive models of oligopoly, collusive models, and we'll discuss cartels also. Cartels are again of two types: joint profit maximization cartel and market sharing cartel. ठीक है कि ठीक है, हम लोगों को ऐसा लगता है कि हमारी दो फॉर्म्स रूल कर रही हैं, तो हम मार्केट शेयर कर लेते हैं, इतनी क्वांटिटी इस रीजन में आप सेल करो, इस रीजन में हम सेल कर लेंगे। जॉइंट प्रॉफिट मैक्सिमाइजेशन कि ठीक है, हम सब एक साथ सेल करते हैं, प्रॉफिट जितना होगा विल डिस्कस, जो भी हमारी टर्म्स है 50-50 है, 70-30 है, विल शेयर दैट, रीजन्स को डिवाइड नहीं करते हैं। So these are the two types of cartels that take place in the economy. Now here there is price leadership also. So there can be, like, one firm can be leader, no? So there can be barometric price leadership and exploitative or aggressive price leadership. Then we will discuss kinky demand curve in depth. We'll discuss the reasons for price stability. We'll discuss Stigler's empirical study regarding the kinky demand curve. We'll discuss full cost pricing theory, sales maximization model of oligopoly by Baumol, Skitowski's satisfaction maximization model. So what basically they are saying is these alternate models, they are telling us that it is not necessary कि हमारे सारे producers या सारी firms profit maximize करती हैं. हो सकता है वो sales maximization का principle हो सकता है उनका satisfaction maximization का principle हो सकता है उनका utility maximization का principle हो. तो ये जो हमारे different economists हैं, इन्होंने profit maximization की जगह पे 3 alternate चीजें provide की है. Then we have satisfaction theory of Simon. And lastly, behavioral theory of Sayed and Bosch. So we'll discuss these alternate models also. Theory of game, statistics part. So here we'll discuss 2% zero-sum game, certainty model, uncertainty model, prisoner's dilemma. So सारी चीजें हम discuss करेंगे. Next we'll discuss factor pricing analysis. We have discussed consumers, we have discussed producers, we have discussed market, we have discussed cost, revenue. Let's now discuss factor pricing analysis. Concepts of productivity. Ultimately तो हमारे factors of production ही सारी जगह पे यूज हो रहे हैं ना. अगर हमारी cost पे भी हम बात करें, output कैसे produce हो रहा है, theory of production में भी. That is why it is important to understand factor pricing analysis. So what do we mean by marginal revenue product? What do we mean by value of marginal product? Then we'll discuss factor pricing under perfect competition assumptions, determination of the factor price. Then we'll formally derive the equilibrium of the firm in perfectly competitive markets. Then we will derive the pricing, factor pricing in under imperfect competition. So यहाँ पे हम क्या लेंगे? We'll take few cases. Like case number 1 is factor market is perfectly competitive, but product market is imperfectly competitive or monopolistic. Second case we can take is that there is monopoly in factor market, but in product market it is perfect competition. Third is that there is monopoly in factor market and in monopoly and there is monopoly in product market. So these are 3 cases. Then we will discuss the role of collective bargaining by trade union in raising wages. So we have various theories regarding this कि अगर हमारी trade union ज़्यादा strong है तो हमारे wages increase करने में help करते हैं, उनका impact क्या होता है. Then we will also discuss product exhaustion theorem, that is the adding up problem. We'll discuss theory of rent, that is the 8th part. Here we'll discuss Ricardian theory of rent, modern theory of rent, how economic rent arises under these 3 cases. Economic rent, first is perfectly elastic supply. Second, when the supply curve is less than perfectly elastic, and third case is inelastic supply. Then we'll discuss quasi rent, मतलब जो कुछ time period के लिए हमारा monopoly type of rent producers ले सकते हैं. Then we'll discuss profits, and there are certain important points that we will be discussing associated with the theory of rent. In the end, we'll discuss welfare economics. Ultimately, why are we studying all these theory? Because we want to maximize the welfare of our economy, maximize the welfare of our society. So we'll be discussing the positive. What do we mean by positive economics and welfare economics? What do we mean by neoclassical welfare economics? As we have discussed earlier also, as the economy is a dynamic subject, so जैसे जैसे हमारी situations change होती है, conditions change होती है, new theories आती है. So it is neoclassical welfare economics, then analysis of externalities or divergence between the private and social cost and return. What is the case of public goods? What do we understand by them? What are the conditions of Pareto optimality? What is the relationship between the perfect competition and Pareto optimality? What is the theory of second best? कि अगर हमारी Pareto optimality conditions achieve नहीं हो रही है, then what is the second best solution for us? The compensation criteria or the new welfare economics. तो अभी तक हमने ऊपर क्या डिस्कस किया? Neoclassical. जैसे जैसे फिर situation change हुई, we are now on new welfare economics, wherein we will discuss Carter-Hicks welfare criteria, Skitowski paradox. Then we'll discuss social welfare function, Arrow's social choice and individual values, types of equilibrium, and finally Cobweb theorem. So these are the various theories in macroeconomics. Microeconomics. So again, syllabus is huge. Microeconomics is a lengthy topic. but it is not difficult. I would not say that this is difficult. This is the syllabus. I'll upload this microeconomics syllabus in the drive, and will upload on description as well. You can take it from there. Tomorrow we will discuss macroeconomics syllabus, and we'll also start with the topic of macroeconomics. We'll start with classical theory of employment in macroeconomics. So that's it for today. If you have any suggestions wherein I can provide you more assistance and help you more in your preparation, then you can please ask me in the comments, please. Thank you. All the best.